Greetings, everyone. Welcome to the Nerdrotic Nooner. It is November 13th, 2019, the day after the 1-year anniversary of our Lord and Savior Stan Lee's death. Unfortunately, I remember I was live that day doing Nerdrotic Nooner. I was doing a Nerdrotic Nooner about The Expanse being robbed at the Saturn Awards or some award show, or was it people? I can't remember what award show it was. And we were also talking about the early parts of Doctor Who completely sucking with season 11, series 11. And in about an hour into that podcast and live stream, I got news that Stan Lee had passed. Of course, thanks to, the lovely trolls on the internet, which, listen, trolls are trolls. They actually serve a purpose. Sometimes they're actually funny. Were putting on that Stan Lee had died prior to that. So I didn't believe it right away. And then I went and checked it. Of course, it was confirmed. I changed the title. And this was back in the days when I had about 6,000 subscribers. And I went from 100 viewers to 2,000. And we had a Stan Lee wake. And it really sucked that he died, and I was sad. I went back and watched the video. I guess I was visibly sad. But we had it was a great live stream. Everybody talking about their experiences meeting Stan. I talked about my experiences meeting Stan, and this was a big deal. This was a huge deal. So I ran to the comic shop that I used to own here in San Francisco for 10 years. You might have heard, I don't know, I don't mention it very much. And to see if they were going to do something. And I walked in the door, and the person behind the counter didn't even acknowledge my existence. And when I went up and talked to that person who was reading a comic book, they were like, "Yeah, it's a bummer." I'm like, "You guys going to do anything?" And they're all, "No." Ugh. So if I was still running and this was going through my mind, if I was still running a comic shop at that time, I would have started a live stream. I'd have gone on Facebook. I'd have gone on Twitter. It said, "Hey, we're doing a Stan Lee wake. Get your butt down here and let's talk about Stan." And, this is that's where the comic book retailing industry's at. I'd always thought about, Stan was getting old. His passing was going to be a reality. What I would have done, I probably would have closed the store. I wouldn't have done any business, and I would have just had a wake. And I was just thinking about that before I started the live stream because, we're about a year in of me doing YouTube as a profession. I quit my job in a huff at Tesla. I don't remember the exact day, but it was close to right around the Stan Lee live stream. And I've been doing this for about a year. And of course, now that the COPA stuff is coming down, it gets me thinking about what my original plan was. My original plan was to do live streaming and making videos just while I set up my new comic shop. The channel started taking off, and comic book retailing started cratering. So I had to rethink what I was going to do. And I decided I would change my business model to just being a vintage collectible store, a comic book shop, do some online stuff, and have the comic book shop be the platform for the YouTube channel and the podcast. Well, it's kind of reversed now. So, this was always in play. I was just going to kind of put it off till next year, and it's still going to happen next year. But the plan B and I'm sure you see it at the end of all of my videos, that I will be opening an online store that's going to have, Nerdrotic merchandise and vintage toys and comic books. I honestly don't need to buy any merchandise for the next year. I've got enough to sell to keep the store going. If you are so interested, I got about 300 to 350 long boxes full of comics. I have toys up the wazoo. So yeah, that's going to happen. As far as the COPA stuff is going, I'm getting a lawyer. I think if any YouTuber is doing this for a living, unsolicited advice, get a lawyer. This is something I learned while I owned a comic shop. We are in control of so little. So this is not too different from here in San Francisco, and it might be this way in your city. The sidewalk in front of your house, in front of your store, while it is not your property, you are responsible for it. So if there's a big crack in the sidewalk, and this happens a lot in San Francisco, and somebody trips on it in front of my store or my house, I am responsible for that, and they could sue me. That's why umbrella policies exist. If the city of San Francisco decides to put a giant effing palm tree in front of my comic shop that blocks my sign, if some dipwad pretends or trips on that and tries to sue me, which happened. Luckily, I got a lawyer that got me out of that situation. It was $2,500 to not pay thousands in medical fees. And it was money well spent. So the same situation, right now with COPA, my concern is I just had to check this box before I started the live stream. This is not made for kids, but I will try not to cuss. I will try not to do anything because I want a lot of people to watch this. But honestly, this is subject matter on this channel that's not for kids. I went and looked at my analytics. 13 and under is 1.7% of my audience, and I doubt they're that engaged, so I'm not that worried. But I have a bunch of action figures in the background, and is the learning algorithm gonna see that and think I'm directed to kids? Do I have to change my background? Do I have to demonetize all my videos? Well, they just made a change in terms of service to where if you just go back and demonetize all your videos, they can still kick you off of YouTube because you're not profitable for YouTube. So that's not a solution. It might be a solution for our older stuff, and it's something I'm certainly thinking about. But COPA is on my mind, but I'm not, you know what? I'm kind of in between. I'm not going to panic. And I'm going to, I'm going to plan, you got to plan. You got to have a plan B. So I'm going to be proactive. And that is, I'm going to get a lawyer. So I am currently looking for one. So if anybody is out there in the audience who knows, I don't know if I doubt it's intellectual property. I don't know if I don't know what type of law this is. I know some lawyers, but they don't cover any of this stuff, but we'll find out. We'll find out. But you know what? One day at a time. I'm going to keep making content. Not anything's going to change right now, but I will be opening up the online store, and I will make the announcement of what we're going to do. I'm going to have to hire some people because I'm still going to be creating content first. So I'm going to need to hire a couple of people here locally, and I'm probably going to have to bring somebody onto the channel as kind of a producer and stuff like that. I have a person in mind, but if that person can't do it, then the call will go out to get some help over here if you want to join Nerdrotic and be a legit employee. Nick Rekieta is somebody, Doomcock and I discussed talking to him, and I would love to talk to him no matter what. I like Nick Rekieta. I think he's great. So yes, we will figure out what's going on, but it is a very serious issue. And what I think it's going to be is it's not going to be the end of the world, but what's going to happen is a channel is going to be made example of. A couple of channels are going to get nuked that shouldn't have gotten nuked, and it could be mine. It could be, because of the action figures in the background, even though my subject matter is nothing like that. But I don't think you can say I'm directed towards children. So hopefully, they keep this so vague. That's the biggest problem. That's the biggest problem. But I'm working on it. And thank you for all the emails and everything. And I'm reading them and I'm listening and I am open to suggestions. Absolutely. So let's talk about the Mandalorian. And it has done exactly what I thought it would, what many other YouTubers thought it would, what many you out there in the very intelligent and beautiful audience thought was going to happen as well. It was going to bring some fans back to Disney Star Wars. Now, I mean, one thing, part of YouTubing is stating the obvious, so allow me to do so. Disney's not going to get rid of Star Wars. They own Star Wars. It is theirs until the end of time. That's not going to change. The Phantom Menace was never going to change that. I completely understand that. By the way, the Phantom Menace remains a hashtag. That's it. It's a loosely united bunch of individuals united in the principle of respecting the fan and getting partisan politics and identity politics out of something that's supposed to be for everyone. And it certainly looks like they made an effort to do that with The Mandalorian in one singular episode. Does this make everything... So, was The Mandalorian good? Yes. Does it make everything cool with Disney Star Wars, with me? I'll use I statements. Hell no. Hell no. Would I like to see Kathleen Kennedy removed? I don't know. I don't have a desire to see people lose their jobs, even if they've done something as despicable as destroying our beloved franchise. But I think there's more people than just Kathleen Kennedy responsible for that. But yes, I would give her a nice golden parachute and send her away. Do I think that's going to happen? Yes. I think that's going to eventually happen. I made a prediction. Nerdstradamus. I made a prediction in my Mandalorian review. Please check it out. It's on the channel in the new releases section. That I think we're seeing that page being turned. I think we're seeing, I don't know if I want to go as far as call it the Feige era of Star Wars, but they're going to be using his template. And I'm not the only one saying that, by the way. The Access Media is saying that. Everybody's seeing that. And Jon Favreau's influence is there. And he was one of the original architects of the MCU when it wasn't at Disney, by the way. The MCU would not have existed if Disney had owned it from the beginning. It was out of desperation we got some innovation, and it also was out of passion. They got, Joss Whedon, Edgar Wright, Jon Favreau, Kevin Feige. There was a bunch of people, including some comic people, involved in building the MCU from scratch, and they did it piece by piece, and it was a long shot. I remember an article. It was from Merrill Lynch, and it basically said, do you want to own a piece of Captain America? Well, if this Paramount project fails with Marvel, and I believe it was Merrill Lynch as an investor with them starting the MCU at Paramount, if that failed, then some of the properties would have belonged to, I believe, Merrill Lynch. It was one of the investment companies. Don't quote me on that, but I remember reading that and just being astounded. So, yeah, it was a crapshoot, and it worked. So I can see them doing it. I don't know if it's going to work with Star Wars because they don't have the identifiable characters like Marvel does. I've always thought Marvel was more valuable. I've loved Star Wars all my life, but I want to make it perfectly clear I don't care anymore, and I haven't. That hasn't changed. I did a video 2 months ago that said, still on the channel, of course, Mark Hamill is done with Star Wars, and so am I, and my opinion has not changed. I was done with Star Wars when I walked out of The Last Jedi. Had a freaking gnarly headache, and I waited decades to see one of my favorite characters of all time. You know what? I was expecting him to probably die, but use a little force, kick a little ass, and we didn't. We got a crabby old man he didn't even have the force until the end, and then he OD'd on it. He OD'd on the force. God damn it, it's so lame. The dumbest creative decision in the history of Hollywood. Right next to not bringing the original 3 back. I equate it to getting the Beatles back together and having them do solo albums like Kiss did. It's stupid. It was dumb, and it was done for identity politics. That was precisely the reason, because of the current environment in Hollywood right now. You cannot have a female receiving power from a male character. That would go against the Bechdel test. And if you look at the actual Bechdel test, it doesn't even say that, but Hollywood has created their own because of the Me Too Time's Up era. And it's completely destroyed narratives within our favorite franchises. But The Mandalorian was still good. Is that, and if I, by me saying The Mandalorian is good, is that me endorsing anybody? No, God, no. And it did, seeing Kathleen Kennedy's name on it did bug me. And if, listen, I know I did a long video, but if you watch the whole thing, I make it very clear. It's not cool. We are not cool. And I'm researching for my next video, which is going to be kind of a Rotten Tomatoes short review of episode 1. And I watched about 2 hours of interviews about The Mandalorian today. And I believe the identity politics are coming. It depends on how they use them. It depends if it sidelines the story or not. But if you like The Mandalorian, awesome. If you're okay with Disney beyond that, I mean, that's your choice. I'm not going to judge you for it because Disney owns Star Wars. And if you want to continue liking Star Wars and you can forgive all that, that's your decision. I don't think I can. But I have to cover the show because I cover television here. And I could try to be as objective as I can. I'm not perfect at that because I'm a human being. I have biases. And there's stuff that's going to take me out. So one point in The Mandalorian, the blurg, Nick Nolte's character talks about the blurg. They're only female because the males get eaten during mating. And I pointed that out in my review, and some Yahoo on Twitter is all, you think this guy's never heard of a praying mantis? It's like, dude, yeah, I've heard of shit you haven't heard of, youngster. So, yes, I've heard of a praying mantis, but I seriously doubt when they were writing the script, they went, let's make the blurg like a praying mantis and have them eat their young. I doubt that was in their mind. I'm guessing they put that in there as kind of a dig, as kind of a joke, at the Fandom Menace. That's my guess. It wasn't to bring awareness or to, it wasn't in reference to the praying mantis. It was in reference to agenda. Now, did it derail it? No, it was just a joke. It was an offhand comment, but it was there. It was there. It was there. So let's get to the chat. We're also going to talk about Terminator Dark Fate dropped 65% of the box office, and it's a major flop, and Hollywood is terrified. But what the Access Media does in their infinite wisdom is they focus that on Dr. Sleep flopping. So they're making a big deal about Dr. Sleep flopping. And they've written articles like Hollywood is terrified that there's a box office fatigue. And no, there's, and again, this saying, I lifted it from our friend Stephen Walton, the author. So he gets full credit. Hollywood agenda fatigue. That is what's affecting the box office. And the Terminator terrifies Hollywood, but they're going to say it's Dr. Sleep. I haven't seen Dr. Sleep. I have no comment on anything I haven't seen. And a quick aside, it's very important for a little unsolicited advice if you want to get into YouTubing. It's very, very important to watch what you're talking about. If you're going to be commenting on something, you probably should watch it. That's what I would do. I will stick that, if somebody wants to comment on the politics of something surrounding something without saying, that's fine. I don't have a problem with that. But commenting on anything within the narrative, you probably should watch the show or movie. And I heard Dr. Sleep's pretty good. I don't know. It definitely had the girl who was the key to everything in it, though. It did. All right, now on to the chat. Good afternoon, everybody. I hope you're having a wonderful afternoon or evening. It is gloomy here in Poop City. But it's all right. This is the time of year where it's just foggy it'll be foggy until spring and 55 degrees every day. So who do we have here? We have Mega Man MG. We have Crazy Pineapple. We have D Lunar Fox, Claudia Acosta, Monster Huntress Runes, CSP, Don, John, Sean, Mr. Emil, R2D2 is, hey, you've been completely disrespected in the new trilogy, R2D2. You're so butch. Cerrone Games Company, Batwoman, Maverick MX, Halam899 is watching for the very first time. Guitar Jedi, propaganda fatigue, damn straight, my friend, damn straight. And that's what it is. Broken Entertainment. What the hell is Dr. Sleep? Exactly. He says WTF is Dr. Sleep. Dr. Sleep is the sequel to a horror movie that most of you haven't seen that was kind of a box office flop when it originally came out that I love. It's one of my top 10 favorite movies. And guess what, Stephen King? It's better than your damn book. Sorry, but Stanley Kubrick's The Shining is a masterpiece. It's an effing masterpiece. So they made a sequel to it, and they made it apparently like an X-Men movie. And it has a young girl who has the same powers as Danny, but much stronger because she is the key to everything. Wonder Girl's 60, but I heard it's a decent book. Dr. Sleep's a decent book. I don't read Stephen King anymore. I think Stephen King is great for a certain age. I read the hell out of it about 25 years ago. And yeah, so welcome everybody. Welcome. This one was last minute, and and the title. Let's talk about the title. I think I've gone over that a little bit, but the title of this live stream is The Mandalorian and the Ritz Cracker. Now, some of you folks my age will know exactly what I'm talking about. And this was brought up a little bit on the High Council. Eddie Murphy has a comedy routine that surprisingly you can find on YouTube that is very un-PC and very funny and very true. And it's called the Kitty Trap. It's not really called the Kitty Trap, but we're going to call it the Kitty Trap. And he talks about waiting for something for a long time that you really want. You probably know what I'm talking about. And when you wait for a long time and then you finally get a little piece of what you were expecting and wanting, it is the greatest thing you've ever seen or greatest thing you've ever had. And he equates it to throwing a starving man a cracker, and a Ritz cracker. And he eats that cracker and it's the greatest thing he's ever tasted. That's what The Mandalorian is. The Mandalorian did what Rogue One almost did. Quite frankly, Rogue One is the last couple minutes. Let's be honest. I mean, it's still okay, but it still has little Jen Erso punching, stormtroopers with her elbow who are armored and knocking them out. So The Mandalorian is everything we wanted in Star Wars. And if they had started with this, and a lot of people are going to say this, there would be no problems right now. There'd be zero problems right now. This is exactly what most people wanted. It still had plenty of Disney in it. It still plays kind of like a live action cartoon. There's not a lot of characterization. There's not a lot of dialogue. The Mandalorian makes fast friends, but it is still beautifully directed. The effects are goddamn incredible for a TV show. I don't know if it's acting or voice work. Please answer this. Is Pedro Pascal in that costume, or is he just voice acting? I'm a dummy, so I thought he was in costume. And I think that is important because, like Doug Jones, unfortunately, he's in one of the worst TV shows of all time, but is a great actor. That guy can emulate through, pounds of makeup and costumes and stuff. He's a great actor and actually a very nice person. Met him a couple times. So I don't know. But it was for one episode of television as a pilot, I was entertained. Was it good enough for me to recommend you getting yet another streaming service? I don't know. I'd have to see more. I could say that maybe sign up. Maybe it's worth a couple of months signing up, but then ditching it right afterwards. Because I'll just speak for me as not the biggest Disney fan in the world. And it's a generational thing. I've said this before. When Disney had its big comeback in the 90s, I was in my 20s. I was single and then married to my first wife. We had no kids. I had no reason to go see a musical cartoon for kids when I was in my 20s. I was just watching Pulp Fiction over and over again and The Crow. And yeah, so it didn't, I just didn't connect with Disney. And when I was a kid, Disney sucked. I mean, I was a kid in the 70s and the 80s. So Disney wasn't really firing on all cylinders. I did like Tron and the Black Hole, but that was Disney to me. And Disneyland was, Disneyland had a bar, and yeah, it was kind of run down. And quite frankly, Magic Mountain was better, and I still think it's better. Six Flags, and I like Universal now. But yeah, I just didn't have a connection to Disney. I was a Warner Brothers guy. I thought Warner Brothers cartoons were always better. That's what I grew up on. So I didn't have that connection to Disney. So I was not, boo, Disney. Yeah, so I'm not about that at all. And that's why, so their back catalog means nothing to me. I mean, there's the Marvel stuff, but I own it all. I own all the Marvel stuff I want to see. I do like the fact that the X-Men animated series is there, but I own that. Spider-Man animated series, own it. So I don't know. I mean, it depends on you, I guess. It's going to be original content that's going to save these streaming services, ultimately. So, and it's going to take Disney a long time to get subs. Now, streaming services like CBS All Access are completely screwed. CBS All Access is more screwed than anybody. They got out ahead, and they had Star Trek, and they divided the fandom, Star Wars fans, just like Disney has done with Star Wars, but it's worse. Quite frankly, what's happened to Star Trek is much, much, much worse. Because I will say the quality of Star Trek is I'll watch a Rogue One. I can't vouch for anything made by Alex Kurtzman and company. We'll see when Picard comes out. But and quite frankly, my favorite property, Doctor Who, is even worse than that. It's way worse. So, and oh my God. And I've been sitting on a Doctor Who rumor for months now, and I've got to get it verified by somebody else. It's something about the narrative. I'll give you a hint. And it is just beyond, I would first say irritating, but no, it angers me, but it's expected. It's like completely expected. All right, I'm going to get to a couple super chats and I'll get to you in the chat. Chris Stanley, thank you for the red thumbs up and the $1.99. I greatly appreciate it. George Peter Gatsis for 5 Canadian pesos. LOL, I found your music online and play it in the background every time I watch the videos. Ah, that's awesome. Total Bliss. Did you get my downlink for the comic? I will check. You emailed it to me, yes? I believe I did, but I will double check. So that music is called Beam Me Up. It's in the YouTube Music free library, so you can search it in there if you like it. I chose it because it said the title was Beam Me Up, and it reminds me a little bit of Secure Teams music, which I like. Nicholas Horton for £2. Hail, Gary. How are things? I heard Disney Plus crashed. It did. It crashed. And they effed up the first day, but I mean, that was to be expected. So I got The Mandalorian early. I was getting ready. I was going to do the live stream early in the morning. So I was getting ready for bed, and I was listening to a Lord of the Rings audio book. I was listening to the end of Fellowship. That's what I usually do when I'm winding down for the night. And I'm like, I'm going to check, because I couldn't download the Disney Plus app on my phone. So at about 11:15, I checked, and it downloaded, and then it popped up, and there was The Mandalorian. I'm like, holy crap. So I set up the live stream. I had everything set up already, and did the live stream, and was lucky to get it early. And I'm glad it was short. I was wrong in my live stream. I kept on saying 47 minutes. It's actually like 37. It was 37 minutes, not counting credits and stuff. It's very short, and that's going to be a problem. That is going to be a problem. I know people are complaining it's weekly. Disney's actually smart for doing that. They're really smart for doing that, because they have idiots like me giving them free advertising. And yes, I do understand. I do understand that if I talk positively about Disney, it helps them. You know, Disney, I still have to. I have to say, if I like something and I think something's good, I'm gonna tell you. That's what this channel's about, and that's it. You know, I am not a Star Wars channel. I cover Star Wars, but I'm not a Star Wars channel. I am not an anything channel. I'm just a me. I will cover stuff I like and stuff that I used to like. How's that sound? Nicholas Horton for £2. Hail Gary. Oh, I already read that. Damn it. Old Dark Knight of Thrones for $2. Hail Gary, please check my episode 1 review. I will. I got to retweet the Cinema Queens too. She put out a review herself. And I guess Geeky Candy did as well. So go check those out. 200-watt studio for $5. You got a super chat in when I ended my last stream, so I'll make that up later. Okay, sorry about that. I saw it pop in right after I ended the stream on the Mandalorian. 200-watt studio for $5. Hail, Stan, was it fantastic? Just saw your creature features appearance. You're awesome, dude. Well, thank you. Oh, I guess this is a good time to plug that. So there was a show here in San Francisco for years and years called Creature Features. The original host, who I didn't grow up in San Francisco. I grew up in San Diego. So it's Bob something. He's a legend here in San Francisco, and I can't remember his name. So they restarted the show with Vincent Van Dahl, and they asked me on earlier in the year during the whole Doctor Who thing, and I have been asked to be on again to discuss the Phantom Menace to the Bay Area. So I will be making a return appearance to Creature Features. We are going to be recording it on December 5th, so I imagine it airs like a few weeks later, early January, late December, and we will be discussing the Phantom Menace and what the Phantom Menace is and what it isn't. The misrepresentations of the Phantom Menace, like the constant accusations that we are against inclusivity and diversity. We are against the inclusion of propaganda and partisan politics. I don't give a damn what a person looks like. I am personally not a big fan of sexualizing Star Wars, straight, gay, or anything. I really don't want to hear it, like, ever. Yeah. But you know what? That's going to happen. So, are you still buying stock for the shop, Gary? And thank you again, 200-watt studio. And this is Cicero JPN. It depends. Yes, if it's vintage, I'm always looking for Bronze Age comics. I'm going to break out my spinner rack. But it kills me. I might have to change my background. I'm so irritated about that, but I might have to change my background. Now, I'm still going to put toys. But one of the things they talked about in Copa is toys aimed at children. Well, I got a bunch of Toy Biz, Spider-Man and Marvel stuff sitting up there, and I could shift that and put my Hot Toys up there, and those are not for kids. And I think I don't want to take it down completely, but I got to talk to a lawyer. I might have to, which fucking kills me. So, yeah, but I'm still buying stock. Yes, I'm always looking for vintage comics, vintage toys. If you have a collection you want to sell and we can work out a deal, Gary@nerdrotic.com, and pester me. Email after email after email, because right now my email's a fracking mess. It's a mess. And I'm missing messages, and it sucks, and I'm not happy about it. But I mean, I'm a one-man show, and quite frankly, my videos take hours to do. I've got to make 2, and that's why I can't go on for hours and hours today, because I have to make 2 videos for tomorrow, because I'm going to be busy all day tomorrow. I don't think there's going to be an Exozone. I'm going to try, but I've got personal business to take care of. But you always have to think about the video to keep it going, to keep things going. Fortunately, last couple videos have done, thank you, very well. Thank you for liking and sharing. Thank you for subscribing. I am very grateful for you. And yes, if you're out there and you are thinking about subscribing, please do, because that's going to help. And if I could find a way, and that's what the shop is. The shop's going to be my mug club. Now, here's the dig. We still have to monetize because YouTube is going to kick people off. Like I said earlier in the video, because of COPA, I think they're going after our boy Crowder on this one. I think this rule is specifically for Crowder. So Quarter Black, if you're out there, I'm sure you guys are aware that if YouTube feels like your channel isn't profitable for them, they can boot you. And that means unmonetizing videos, because that keeps you safe for COPA. I believe if you're not monetizing towards children, then they can't bust you for it, right? Unless YouTube is putting ads on unmonetized videos, which I don't think they're supposed to do. That being said, the shop is going to be an alternative source of income, so I can keep doing this and not have to rely on ad rates, which I do right now, quite frankly. I'm sorry about all those ads, but yeah, if I could reduce those, that'd be great. I just need enough to get by and keep doing this. I don't need to be rich. But thank you, Cicero JPN, and thank you for the super chat. They are keeping things going right now and keeping the content going, so I'm very grateful for you guys. Yeah, and I'm really happy. I've been doing this for a year. It's been fun. No matter what, it's been a freaking blast. Antonio Cardenas for $2. Are you going to talk about Baby Yoda? Yes. It is not Baby Yoda. It is the girl that is the key to everything. I know it's a very original plot that they haven't done in Terminator. They're not going to do it in Picard. They haven't done it in, so Picard is going to have a girl that's the key to everything. Dr. Sleep had a girl that's the key to everything. I didn't watch it, but I mean, if you watch the trailer, you can figure that out. Terminator had the girl that is the key to everything. Watchmen has the girl who is the key to everything. Punisher had the girl who was the key to everything. Iron Fist Season 2 had the girl who was the key to everything. You're getting certain themes here. So if we're going to have a male protagonist, he's got to be protecting a little girl. And this is Hollywood Agenda 101. So Baby Yoda, I don't think it's... I mean, I don't know Yoda's sexual practices. I know the Jedi were supposed to be celibate, but I guess they were all screwing. Fine. Is it Yoda's kid? I don't know. What do you guys think it is? I think it's a female girl who is probably the key to everything. And this might be the connection to Rise of Skywalker. Or maybe that's the secret Skywalker. You know, maybe Luke Skywalker was a pansexual. I mean, would we be surprised at this point? I am surprised at nothing. J.J. Abrams has come out and admitted he didn't take risks with The Force Awakens, but he will take them now that Rian Johnson has completely screwed the pooch. Oh, and Rian Johnson dropped an F-bomb on any fans who are against diversity. So I guess he's yelling at... Old man yells at cloud? I mean, who are you yelling at? We're talking about your movie, dude. Larry, thank you, Antonio. Yeah, Baby Yoda. The girl that's the key to everything. Larry Tinsley for $2. Will the Yoda be in Rise of Skywalker? Yeah, I think... They said there's going to be some revelation in the series that's going... by the way, Pedro Pascal did drop the name of the Mandalorian. I'm sure you all saw that. Lucasfilm released some promotional material. It's not Pedro Pascal's fault, by the way. It was Lucasfilm's fault for allowing this promotional material to go out. Or I don't know if they were but it looks like they were in charge of it, but maybe not. I'm guessing when he does an interview, they have people there, but he dropped the name. It's like, it's not Boba Fett. Okay. So, it's some rando name, and it might mean something to EU people. Again, I'm not super into my EU knowledge is some comic books. That's it. And that's from a long time ago, and it doesn't count anymore. But there will be, yeah, Larry, there'll be some kind of connection. Daniel, thank you for the $2 super chat. Daniel for $5. Sorry, I joined the stream late. Does anyone know if Gary ever owned a comic shop and in which city? I don't know that yet, but maybe the chat can answer you, Daniel. Very funny. In all seriousness, folks, you got to pretend, you got to go about every live stream and video like there's somebody who's never watched your channel before. You got to repeat a lot. I actually learned that from listening to years of talk radio. So I used to be, another thing I bring up a lot is I used to be a parts delivery driver in the 90s. That was my job. And I would drive around San Diego all day. I would drive 350 miles a day, 5 days a week. And I did that for 4 years. So I did a lot of driving in SoCal. So I'm kind of a Jedi driver. I know everybody says that, but like driving Southern California freeways, 350 miles a day for 5 days a week for 4 years. Yeah, you get some practice. We'll just say that. But all day I was listening to talk radio. I would listen to Howard in the morning and then whatever, a lot of sports ball radio. Cause I used to be very much into the sports ball, very much. Not anymore. Rob's for Australian $7.99. Gary, I loved Endgame. It wasn't perfect, but woke was kept to a minimum and the action humor was great. Emotional payoff. So many great moments. That's what the movie is. I like it, Rob's. I like it less the more I see it, so I'm not going to watch it anymore. I watched it for the third time and like I was like, ugh. I had a lot of problems with it, but it did have some very good emotional moments. And Robert Downey Jr. was great. You saw the completion of one of the greatest character arcs in movie history. And yes, Tony Stark's character arc is brilliant. Even in the bad Iron Man movies, Robert Downey Jr. is good. His character arc is good. And I'm sorry he had to die. I am. Tony Stark dying does bother me. Him being taken out of the picture and Steve Rogers, I think they should recast and treat it like Bond, but they want to move on to Miss Marvel because she's so popular. America Chavez and Miss Marvel, that's coming down the road. That's your next MCU. That I'm sure that will carry Marvel for another 5 decades. Thank you, Robs. Peter Davison for Australian $5. Say hello to Mom for me. Gary, I'm afraid the Mandalorian is already going sideways. Yes. So I'm going to save a little bit of that for my video. But if you listen to interviews, that stuff is coming, folks. I'm sorry. If they keep it to a minimum, right now, I'm sensitive to it because it's in frickin' everything we watch. But we'll see if it's kept to it. But Gina Carrara's character is going to be the strongest, the most badass of the bunch, even more than the main character of the Mandalorian. She is the protector. She is the strong one. But you know what? If they make her a likable character, it sounds like they're kind of making her like Amos from The Expanse, or Bobby, which, if they make her a real, and I like that actress, I think she's good. So, it could still be okay, but that's what they said in the interviews. I'm just going off of what they said in the interviews and we will see. We'll judge for ourselves when we see. We get the second episode this Friday. I will be covering it live. I'm guessing it might drop in the middle of the night again. And I might get it at like midnight or because when Amazon drops their stuff, they drop it at midnight Eastern. So I get it at 9. So I cover Amazon stuff early. And I might do the same thing. But I will, once it airs, I'll be live right after. And it won't be as long, though. It'll be like 20 minutes or something like that. And that's what I used to do. If you're new to the channel, that was my bread and butter for years on this channel. Is I just did basically Talking Dead. I reviewed stuff afterwards. I like TV. I don't have to go anywhere. I do like film, but it looks like film is dead. And we'll get to that in a little bit. Dallas Deadeye for $5. Mandalorian felt short. It was almost like it was cut to fit commercials in before commercials on Disney Plus. Tom, you don't mind if I spout out a private conversation we had? Tom brought this up in a conversation. Tom from Midnight's Edge. And I think he's right. He said, I wouldn't be surprised if they put the first episode of The Mandalorian on ABC on Friday night, especially if it's a dead night or something like that, for free to entice people into Disney Plus. And CBS did that with the first episode of Star Trek Discovery. they put it on CBS, and I think that would be a smart move. Yes, so I think Dallas Deadeye, you're spot on. You're spot on. John Madden, famous coach and former announcer, for $5. Word is Charlie's Angels might bomb. Oh, it's gonna bomb. It's gonna bomb. Will Holly Woke finally get the message after all the SJW infused movies that flopped this year and last? I think so, and I think I might actually have to go watch that movie, because if I'm going to talk about it, I better watch it. So, but you know what? I owe Mrs. Nerdrotic a date night. At least, get some dinner. Yeah, and then I'll criticize it after I go on a date with my wife, and somebody will call me an incel. Ultra Raider 52 Canadian $3.99. This is for your awesome SJW impression. Well, I'm in San Francisco. It's just terrible. Actually, this is based on a very good customer I used to have named David Gaines. He'd always call me, and he was an older David Gaines used to do the art on VHS. That's so he owned this house, and he always called Gary. Would you please deliver my comics? Marvel is just terrible these days. It's unreadable. He would always call me. He would ask me to deliver his comics, which I did because he bought like $300 worth a week, and the house wasn't that far. So I delivered his comics, and he'd always be drinking a beer, and he'd tell me how much he hates everything, and then he would read everything and buy it. It was hilarious. But yes, that's David Gaines. Love you, David, if you're out there. Point Curation for Canadian $2. Mandalorian will go woke. D can't help themselves. You're not wrong. We need to be cautiously optimistic, but I was watching Stephen Walton's video earlier today, and I think he was pretty spot on about, he sees, we got to keep our eye on the prize. I think that was the gist of his video, and I totally agree with that. Got to keep your eye on the prize. But I'm not going to sit here and just freaking hate everything for hate's sake either. Just not going to do it. That is, well, it's not honest. So, Jeremy Schneider for $5. Pascal is doing voice work. We'll find out the final episode of The Mandalorian is a woman underneath that armor. That still could be. The name, you can't tell if it's male or female from the name. I wish I would have written it down, but it's in a video on comicbook.com. I believe it's comicbook.com. And it was from a Wired interview that comicbook.com has. We learned the name. It means nothing to me, but it could mean, like, some EU guy can go, well, that's the blah, blah, blah from blah, blah, blah. And, I don't know. RK Outpost is on it. Or Lethal Lightning. Dixon Cider, a good friend of Mike Hunt's, for $5 says this woke nonsense is as played out as the race card. Both mean nothing at this point. They really don't. Jeremy Schneider, again, thank you for the super chat. I didn't mean to rush past that. And Dixon, thank you for the $5. Yeah, it's really boring at this point. That's why I stopped reviewing Batwoman. It's just, I got better things to do. I would rather, pay a parking ticket, wait in line at the DMV. I don't know, like anything compared to that. Take out the trash, Peter Davison for $10 for 10 Australian pesos. Patrick McGowan was the Scarecrow in Disney's The Scarecrow. The detail was good, even down to the masks worn by the Scarecrow and associates. They were real people. Smugglers down in the Romney Marsh. G'day, Peter. We love Patrick McGowan. The Prisoner. Dark Star, $5. Just jumped on. Don't say it could be yours, man. You are our Gandalf. Well, thank you. That is high praise, by the way. Thank you. My favorite YouTuber, man. Don't go anywhere, brother. No, I'm not going anywhere. They will have to take me out. I am not going anywhere. I have committed to this. I realize that I'm working for a giant nebulous company that can arbitrarily change the rules. I think when in this case, we are dealing with the FTC, and we need to be wary of how we use our language on this. Listen, we can be harsh on whatever we want, but this is our livelihoods here. And if we want to have an open communication with the FTC, I think respectful conversation should be in order instead of just hitting the panic button, calling everybody an effing a-hole. And I mean, listen, it sucks, but the rule's here that we can't undo it. I wish we would have known about this sooner. I wish I would have known about this sooner. I wish I knew the details sooner, and maybe they were there and I didn't do my work, and that's my fault. But now that the rule is in place, we have to work with the FTC. I watched a couple of videos where a lawyer did talk to them and said they genuinely want to work this out. They don't want to screw people over. That what they're trying to do is get the creepers. And I am all for that. But there's going to be collateral damage, and I am not for that. But there has to be a compromise somewhere. And you know what? We can always get angry later. We can always get angry later. But let's try to have a reasonable conversation, and I'm going to do my due diligence. I'm going to get a lawyer to go over this and tell me what I need to do next, because I'm not one. I'm not a lawyer. I have been kicked out of 3 high schools. The Zardoz for $50. Keep up the fine work. Wow. Thank you, the Zardoz. Thank you for the very generous super chat. I appreciate it. Voodoo Priestess for $4.99. Thanks for all you do. You make my work day easier to deal with. Love you. Love you too, Voodoo Priestess. And you can put a spell on me anytime. Mr. Gently Benevolent for 5 Australian pesos. Couldn't you just ask Mike Zero what happens in the rest of The Mandalorian rather than waiting and watching weekly, Gary? That's a great point. That is a great point. I watched a little Mike Zero this morning, and he was using a little bit of Doomcock's rumors, which I thought was cool. All hail Doomcock, by the way. We're all proud of his growth. And so he is, I don't want to use the word reporting. He is discussing rumors that were brought to him by independent sources. And that is something he is absolutely free to do on his platform. And as long as he makes sure and says it's a rumor, that's it. There is a lot of YouTubers who are very concerned about him all of a sudden. I've noticed that. A lot of YouTubers very concerned about Doomcock. And very concerned about the Fandom Menace. A hashtag. You know what? Be concerned about yourself. Especially some of these YouTubers are actually calling into question integrity. And considering the integrity of some of these YouTubers, wow, that is some sack. That is some serious sack. Listen, you know what? I don't believe everything I hear. And I know it's a lot of fun for a lot of people to see, the YouTuber drama and the concern trolling out there. It's not for me. It's just not for me. But I will defend my friend Doomcock to the end. I have his back. He can do whatever the hell he wants. I understand what he's talking about. I understand he's talking about rumors, something you and I would discuss on the street or in a comic shop, anywhere, or right here. And I'm not saying I won't discuss them in the future. I like to get them somewhat verified, but we can talk about whatever. And, I really would love to run with the Doctor Who one, but I don't think anybody gives a shit at this point. There's a couple of Star Trek videos I could have made that I decided not to make because, quite frankly, I don't think anybody cares about Star Trek anymore. I think it's dead as dead. And you know what? That's what's coming for Star Wars. Star Wars is a bigger fandom, obviously, but what you're going to be left with is just the hardcore Disney Star Wars fans. That's not what you paid $1 billion for. Hey, listen, you're important. Hardcore fans are very important. They help properties get through the dark times, but it's the normies who you need. And I don't know. The Mandalorian's only been out for a couple days, and the interest looks very high among Star Wars fans. I haven't gauged the interest of normies. It doesn't look like it's that big a deal to the normies. But maybe that's not what it was for. But I have to do a little more research on that one before I have a definitive opinion on it. So, Force Ghost Jeremy for £5. I added a John Williams score to the end of the Mandalorian. It sounds better. I tagged you in the video on Twitter. Please check it out. Thanks. I would love to. I bet you it does. Yeah, that music sounded like the Iron Man soundtrack, but not as good. I like the Iron Man soundtrack. It works pretty good. The MCU soundtracks are pretty forgettable. They're not terrible, but they're serviceable. Star Wars should not have a serviceable score. And yes, I am a snob on that stuff. I am a major snob. And the John Williams style of music, you can emulate it. You can. And they are definitely going for an Empire feel. How many of you did you get, when you were watching it on your app, how many of you got the Empire Strikes Back right after The Mandalorian ended? I'm guessing most of you, if not all of you. That was done on purpose. It's like, hey, doesn't this remind you of this? You know. Thank you, Force Ghost Jeremy. Bill G for $50. What? I get to catch another live stream in a week? I am too shocked. I was wondering if you had any thoughts on Rick and Morty. Other than that, I am not going to give The Mandalorian a chance and not going to give The Mouse a penny. Two-part thank you, Bill G. Thank you for the $50. Thank you so much. Rick and Morty. I've watched a few episodes. I laughed. I worry about the creator. I think he's like a very twisted, Dan Harmon. I think, his life could end in tragedy if he doesn't seek help. But yeah, I don't watch a lot of Rick and Morty. I don't. But I don't think it's bad. I think it's got a weird fandom, but you know, who am I to judge on that one? And as far as you not giving The Mandalorian a chance, I don't blame you one bit. I'm not going to judge somebody for not watching The Mandalorian. I'm not going to judge somebody for going, you know what? You guys called us cousin humpers, among other things. You called us ist. You called us phobes. F you. I'm done with you. I will be honest with you. If I didn't have a channel, I would not be signed up for Disney Plus, and I would not have watched The Mandalorian. Period. The Mandalorian, I don't know if I made this clear in my video. It was good, but I didn't get anything. I wasn't emotionally invested. I just like, yeah, it's a good episode of television. You know, it didn't rock my world or anything. I mean, but it's a good episode of television. Does it make everything okay? Hell no. We are so far away from that. I think an apology to all the fandom is in order, and not just Fandom Menace. I mean, all of fandom. The fandom didn't split the fandom. Actions from people at Lucasfilm split the fandom. Purposely putting in identity politics, knowing it's going to alienate a certain part of your audience and not caring because you are dehumanizing people based on a political belief, a singular belief. You think that defines a person because they might support the Orange Man, which is bigotry. It is. So they don't see you as full human, or they don't want you as fan. I can't tell you how many times I heard from the comic book creative dipwads, well, if you don't like my stuff, don't buy it. What? Oh my God, when I saw that and they've been saying that for years, by the way, way before Comicsgate stuff, they've been saying that shit for years. And actually that's what I got in trouble with, some people a long time ago on Twitter. Cause I think it was Gail Simone say it, and I just freaked out, on Facebook and on Twitter, and had to delete stuff. And, you know, 'cause this was back in the day where it's like, you know, it probably wasn't good for a businessman to be dropping multiple F-bombs. But yeah, that kind of shit would keep me up at night because these dipwads were in charge of my destiny. Gail Simone, decisions by Gail Simone and Joe Quesada and Mark Waid affected my livelihood. And that bugged me. And I'm glad I'm not a part of that. You know, they're still firmly entrenched. in comic books and destroying them. Or we have, Tom King. Tom King the snitch. By the way, Tom King's a snitch. He got a comic book employee in trouble because that comic book employee, I can't say the name, spoke their mind in a Facebook group, and Tom King was aware of that. Then he made DC aware of that, and then that person in that shop got kicked out of the Facebook group. So yeah, Tom King's a snitch, and he worked for the CIA. That's very good. Very good. Somebody like that worked for the CIA. Voodoo Priestess for $4.99. Thanks for all you do. You make the workday easier. Oh, I read that one, but I'll read it again. Thank you. And you're welcome. Why did it jumped on me? Jumped on me. Southeastern Kaiju for $2. Why can't we all agree white men are superior? No, we can't agree on that. White men are idiots, just like everybody. Why can't we all agree that women are as much idiots as men? They're as dumb as men. RBM Entertainment for $5. But thank you, Southeastern Kaiju. RBM Entertainment for $5. Gary, can I have a shout? Gary, can I have a shout? I post manga on Twitter, RBM Entertainment, and will win the war. You the man. Yes. So check out at RBM Entertainment on Twitter. There's your shout out. Please give him a follow. Him or, I assumed your gender. Please give them a follow. Captain Spire for $5. Gary, slowly getting things back in order on my end. Did the happy make it to you? At this point, YouTube channels with the wrong color are getting sued. It did make it, and Captain Spire, it's going to I'm going to do a live stream on Nerdrotic Live opening up. I'm way behind on my mail, so I'm going to probably do a 3-hour live stream opening up mail and reading letters, and that will be a week from this Thursday. Thank you, Captain Spire. Peter Davison, Australian $5. I sent Mecca a DVD and to you a book, and that will be, again, opened a week from Thursday on Nerdrotic Live. By the way, Nerdrotic Live is my backup channel. That's where I post all of the live streams. So when this one's done, it will be unlisted and then downloaded and uploaded over there, probably within an hour of it ending. So if you missed any of it, it'll be popped up. You could also find it on my website. I mirror everything on my website, nerdrotic.com. And yeah, there's no ads there. Everything's free, and you can go, and that's where you can I turn everything into podcasts too, so you can find me on iTunes or Player FM. Grant Kelbrick for 35 Zardozes. It's a monetary, it's ZAR. I have no idea what that is, so I call it a Zardoz. Gary, did you ever watch Robotech? God's Truth. I love that saga. I used to rush home after school to watch the show. Loved the animation. Robotech was cool. I watched it a bit, but not a ton. My brother-in-law loves it to death. Loves it to death. But I probably should go back and watch that because I would probably love it now, especially since we have such a drought on good entertainment. John Madden for $5. Word is Charlie's Angels Did I read this one? How did this one get behind that one? That's weird. Or maybe it just jumped on me. But John Madden, I read that one. Yes, Charlie's Angels might flop. Oh, okay. I refreshed it. That was my problem. Mark C, $2. Yoda and Yaddle made a baby. Let's call it Yodel. Ha ha ha. Yes. Yodel. The girl that is the key to everything. Detritus for $2. What's your most prized Doctor Who toy? Keep rocking. Oh, that's easy. That's easy. The 1/6 scale Tom Baker Big Chief Studios. Those go for thousands of dollars, and I found one on eBay that didn't have a hat, so the guy sold it for $300. And I found a hat, put the hat on his head, and now I got he's here. I can show him to you. Let's see. Let me get to the camera. He is right there. So if you right there. You can see him poking out. I also like my 1/6 scale TARDIS. I also have a bunch of proof figures, which are, they're painted they're non-painted. They're different colors. I have a Chris Eccleston and a 10th Doctor proof figure. And I have my Mego, which was, I forgot what the brand was called again, but the Mego Tom Baker one I love. Yeah. But listen, everything 10th Doctor now is like going crazy up in price. They made Magic Wand. The Magic Wand company made Universal Remote 10th Doctor sonic screwdrivers. These bad boys, and they are, they're worth bucks, but they are very cool. And of course, there's the 11th Doctor one, and it's the only one that comes up. I keep it open because it really does look like a freaking penis. Yeah, I mean, what were they thinking? Straight up, circumcised and everything. Whoops, there we go. And I dropped the stand, but we'll put that later. All right, so back to this. Let's see what time we got. Okay, we good. I'm already, God, I got to record 2 videos today, and my voice is already kind of going. Let me get a sip of Pete's here. Can't have that happening. CH for $10. The soundtrack score to the Mando is great, just like a spaghetti western. I love your content. Thank you. I hated it. And I know what they were trying to do, but what really took me out was the stuff at the end. And it sounded very just Disney. And there was a moment where it got like really, it was at the 27-minute mark, because I know I wrote it down and said, oh, it just got uber Disney right there. But overall, it was good. It was good. Oh, my Crazy Pineapple for $5. Woke is the key to everything we dislike. It really is. You are correct. You are correct. CH, thank you for the $10. And it's okay that you like the score and I didn't. We can disagree here. We can. Crazy Pineapple, thank you for the $5. Ethan Salinas PLT for $2 and no comment. But I like the Green Goblin avatar. That's cool. Thank you very much. Lonnie Holcomb, thank you for the $1.99 and the Purple Heart that says thanks. Thank you very much. Loquacious Primate for $5. Hey, Gary, did you get my email about the Watchmen comic about a week ago? Yes. Gave you my info and asked about additional compensation. I will respond to you this afternoon. I have to respond to you and Svi. I will respond to you and Svi. So my Watchmen reviews, I apologize. I was supposed to do individual video reviews on each episode, but time got away and now we're 5 episodes in. I'm going to do a season review. It'll probably be long as hell. But I've been working on the video and I just keep adding to it. So when Watchmen season 1 is over, I will do a season review. Guessing I'll try to keep it about 30, 35 minutes long, but that's as short as I can possibly do it. So far the format is kind of, I'm going to do a little bit of I'm going to try to do a parody of Emergency Awesome. And I like Charlie. But we're going to do top 10 agenda moments. Top 10 WTF agenda moments in Watchmen. But it might be top like 500 by the end of the season. So, but God, people are just wigging out that Doomcock and I criticized that show. How could you criticize that show? That is dangerous. It's dangerous. You're being so dangerous. Stop it. Jesus Christ. Professor Thascalus, the master, for $5. Hail, Gary. Were you able to get your son into the school you wanted and keep doing the great work you do? Can't wait for the online store. Thank you for asking. Not yet. It's a major process. So I'm in San Francisco. I don't want my son going to a public high school for obvious reasons. The curriculum is insane. I could start a channel and just read you off stupid things from San Francisco's high school curriculum, and I'd probably do pretty well. And yeah, it's, it triggers me when I think about it. Hang on. So, I love my kids. I love my kids, and I want my kids to learn, and I don't want them to learn just one side of things. I want them to come to decisions on their own. They are free to be religious or whatever. I feel like, while I am definitely not the perfect father, I've made plenty of mistakes. They're lucky that they have a great mom, a fucking great mom. Oh, I cussed. Sorry, kids. And, but I want, we got my oldest son into City Arts and Tech, which wasn't bound by a lot of San Francisco curriculum. So that's good. Long story short, I'm trying to get my kid into a Catholic school. Straight up. Religious school. It's the only way I can go. It's the only freaking choice I have. And that's only while we're here until we move. So it's like another a year. But it's a good school that my son is special needs. Well, he's on the spectrum. He's not really considered special needs. He's on the spectrum, but you know, he can he'll go up and get a job, and he's just a little back in the old days they would have just called him a little strange, which makes sense because he's my kid. So he's a little weird, but thankfully he's got some of those mom genes in him too. So, but yes, thanks for asking. I will let you know. We'll find out in January. Darkstar 76 for $5. Looney Tunes, original Looney. That is the best cartoons as a kid or adult. Some of those never get old. They don't, Darkstar. They are the best. The best. The Dallas Deadeye for $5. Once you realize the CEO of YouTube was the lady who rented her garage to the original Google founders, everything comes into perspective. She was not, was she? Nah, really? Well, I mean, we know who really runs YouTube. I mean, come on. So I do have a secret weapon. I don't know if it's going to help, but it's certainly nice to have. I'll try to keep it as vague as possible. Mrs. Nerdrotic does hair. And she's got a lot of cool clients. Because she's really good at what she does, Mrs. Nerdrotic. So one of those cool clients at least can, give me some advice maybe. I don't know. And maybe they used to work at Google. Maybe. Blade Fury for 350 Zardazes. Gary, you're awesome. Also, Batwoman. If I wanted to see a 50-pound chick in a red wig, I'd visit my local warehouse. I think you said warehouse there. I'm pretty sure warehouse is what you were using, right? He would visit his local warehouse. I used to work at the warehouse. Where? The warehouse. Warehouse Records. John Madden for $5. You mentioned Gail Simone. How is it someone got a job in comics for a whiny list about female characters who died? She's a mediocre writer. She did some good work on Birds of Prey. But she's turned into a bad writer. She used to be pretty good. I mean, I never sought her out. And I interviewed her. It's on my Patreon. I interviewed her, and she, I don't like her very much. There was also some behind the scenes stuff. Ed Hannigan. I was working with Ed Hannigan and, the Heroes Initiative. It's a charity to help, comic book creators who are in need, who are for hospice care, for, if they have cancer, because, freaking Marvel and DC weren't helping them. So comic shop retailers and some comic professionals created the Heroes Initiative, which is a great organization that helps these comic creators pay rent, pay for hospice, stuff they really need. Because Marvel and DC have completely screwed over a lot of comic book creators. There's some who have been, poor as hell, and they're making billions of dollars off the characters that they created. Mary Ashmead for $5. What's up, Mary? Hail, Gary. That's why I was so nuts about the F-bomb, because I knew you guys would get in trouble at some point. Love you. I know. I got to stop dropping the F-bombs. It's by accident. I don't mean to do it at all. I'm crass. I'm very crass. What can I say? RBM Entertainment for $2. Thank you so much. You made my month. You're welcome. Again, follow RBM Entertainment at RBM Entertainment on Twitter. You're welcome. My pleasure. Lubella for $5. Gary, please do a video on the San Francisco curriculum. I need to laugh. Also, we have similar film taste. Pulp Fiction, The Crow. Love you. Blessed be. Yes. Thank you. That's The Crow is one of my favorite all-time comic book movies. I love it. Best soundtrack. So real quick, let's go to this article. I might just do a video on this, so you might be getting a preview. Let's see if I can non-boomer this. Again, let's see if I can non-boomer this. Boom. There we go. Okay. So I want you to, Jesus Christ, I didn't want to press that. All right. I want you to know this article came out a week after Terminator Dark Fate becomes as big of a bomb as Dark Phoenix, if not bigger. Box office's Dr. Sleep dismal 14 million debut terrifies Hollywood. But amazingly enough, Terminator Dark Fate, a known property with the return of Sarah Connor, Arnold Schwarzenegger, and James Cameron signing off with Tim Miller, the Deadpool director, in it, and all the goddamn wokeness you want, that doesn't terrify him. That failing him doesn't terrify him. But Dr. Sleep, a movie that was marketed like shit, a sequel to a movie that I don't think anybody in the last generation has heard of. I mean, listen, there's a lot of kids at my kids' school who have never heard of Star Trek. Never heard of Star Trek. So you want people to see a rated R movie that didn't do well in the first place. Same goes for Watchmen. I mean, they totally overestimate the popularity of the property Watchmen. It's a cult classic at best. A lot of hardcore comic book fans like it. Normies could give two brown turds about the Watchmen. So, okay. So this is the Access Media admitting basically they should have written this article for the Terminator, but they waited for Dr. Sleep because it had a white male lead. And, they didn't necessarily blame it on that, but they didn't want to blame Terminator. So let's make this article the next weekend about another movie that honestly, I doubt it lost as much money as Terminator lost. Heading into the weekend, the sequel to The Shining that nobody knew was expected to open at 25 million or more. The Terminator was supposed to open at 44 million. The Veterans Day box office turned into a bloody battleground for a slew of films unable to break through and convince consumers to turn out to the multiplex in force. The timing couldn't have been worse, considering that Disney Plus, a symbolic reminder of the encroaching of streamers, launches November 12th. Hard stop there. Thanks, Tim Pool. Before we go on, I'm just going to get you to the gist of this article and to the gist of my point. Films were dying anyway. Streaming was taking over. They were done. But what was the straw that is breaking the camel's back? Agenda. Hollywood agenda. Their constant, nonstop blathering about their personal politics, putting propaganda into our favorite franchises. You have alienated half of the country. They are pissed and they're not watching your crap anymore. They're walking away. They're going to watch streaming services. They're going to watch YouTube. They're going to go mow the goddamn lawn. They are not going to watch your fake garbage anymore. Wake up. Mass appeal is something you need, Hollywood, because if films fail, that is the source for your streaming material, for your streaming services. Back catalogs are not that important. For certain series, sure. But for, like MASH, I don't think there's a ton of people watching that anymore. I'm just, it's a guess. Happy Days, don't think a lot of people care about that anymore. I get there's The Office and Friends, two shows I have. I've watched the English version of The Office. I think I've watched about 10 minutes of it, the American version. I don't like sitcoms. Married with Children is the greatest sitcom ever made, by the way. First few seasons. And I've never seen an episode. I've seen Friends at a friend's house if they had it on, but I never watched Friends and never will. So that's what's killing Hollywood. It's the agenda, but of course they don't talk about that. The biggest shock was Stephen King's adaptation, Dr. Sleep, a sequel to The Shining that had been tracking to debut at 25 to 30 million. Hollywood, who are you paying? I could have told you that, I think anyone in this chat could have told you that Dr. Sleep wasn't going to do very well because they didn't market the movie worth a crap. The R-rated horror thriller boasted all the right credentials, good reviews, which mean dick anymore. Nobody cares about good reviews from the hypocritics in Hollywood. A Stephen King brand. Well, honestly, only Stephen King fans knew about Dr. Sleep being part of his brand. And backing from Warner Brothers, well, that's good. Warner Brothers is a company that's going to kick Disney in the nuts repeatedly very soon. But it's just another major corporation. Home of Horror label and Home of Horror label New Line Cinema, which brought us the greatest trilogy of all time, Lord of the Rings. Instead, Dr. Sleep went into a coma. Oh my God, he's so proud of himself for that one. It opened to 14.1 million domestically and lost to Roland Emmerich's big budget indie spectacular Midway, which took in 17.5 million. Not that Midway is a victory considering it cost 100 million. It was considering it's a 100 million project. Oh, wow. That's expensive for an indie film. Is that what indie films? Yeah. For those of you out there who want the Fandom Menace to start making our own content, there's your indie film right there. Yeah, not going to happen. We are doing that, by the way, right here. Hopefully entertaining you. Executives at Warner Brothers didn't do their usual round of Sunday morning box office calls and behind the scenes scrambled to understand what went wrong. Hey, Warner Brothers, I know you're listening. CBS, ABC, Disney. No, you're all out there watching. You want to know what went wrong? You went wrong. Your politics went wrong. You can have your politics, keep your politics. Diversity, inclusion, great. That's awesome. Propaganda, overcompensating, and partisan agenda and identity politics. That is your problem. And it's not going away until you take it away. And it might be too late if you take it away. But you've been telling a lot of people, a lot of your actors, a lot of your creatives, your repurposers out there have been abusive to fans. And what they have been doing, see, what they do is they pick out a tweet from an anonymous person with 9 followers. And then they take that tweet and they say, well, this person said I should so-and-so, when it was probably a 12-year-old. And they're making blanket generalizations about a large portion of their fan base. What they do, probably unintentionally, is offend a large portion of their audience. And when they become aware of that, they just continue doing it. Listen, I could pick out things in my comment section all day long, and just make this running narrative. No, because eventually I would start pissing off my viewers and the people who come here to be entertained and stuff. So that's what Hollywood is doing. And we're sick of it. We're fracking sick of it. And it's in all of our entertainment. And there's something in absolutely everything. Even in the brilliant Joker, there was a resistance sign. And there were themes there, but it was still done well. The Joker's freaking damn near perfect. By the way, it's almost at $1 billion. So hail to the Joker. Executives at Warner Brothers didn't do their... Okay, I already said that. The studio has suffered a string of misses in the past few months. Exceptions include Joker, which is days away from clearing $1 billion globally, and It Chapter 2, another King adaptation that has earned $460 million to date. Joker alone will spin profits of $600 million. You see how much money you make when you just make a GD movie? More than enough to absorb any losses from the Goldfinch and Dr. Sleep, which cost a net $47 million to produce after rebates and tax incentives. So Dr. Sleep is nowhere near the bomb Terminator Dark Fate is. So let's see if they talk about Terminator Dark Fate at all. They talk about a bunch of other bombs. Nobody's going to go see rom-coms anymore. Unless your rom-com costs like $100,000 to make, it's not going to be profitable. They're talking about comparing it. And this is where the biggest problem is. 2 years ago, in the same weekend, Thor Ragnarok was a success. And investors, this is what they see. They don't see nuance between film. They just go, why didn't my genre film do as well as the last one 2 years ago? So here we go. Midway and Dr. Sleep hits theaters 1 week after Terminator Dark Fate bombed in its global debut in an era where known IP is the gold standard of Hollywood. That's a bunch of hooey. Dark Fate and Dr. Sleep are especially bitter pills to swallow. And that's the end of their Dark Fate conversation. So that didn't scare Hollywood, but Dr. Sleep does. I call BS. I call major BS on that one. That's just me, though. That's just me. I don't know. What do you guys think? It really wants me to take me to that Chernobyl ad. That's for sure. All right. Okay. John Madden. Woke is a funnier character than we've had before. Yes, John Madden. Woke is a funnier... It is a funnier... It has gotten hilarious. I mean, Watchmen is predictably woke. Soon as Madame True came in... by the way, oh my God, the agenda of that scene. So in Watchmen, there is a female STEM scientist, pharma scientist, trillionaire of color, which is just like, check, 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 check. She comes in, and for the symbolism, there is the Clark family, who are made to look like the Kent family, and she offers to sell them a baby, buys their property, and then takes Superman. Basically, Superman falls to Earth. The symbolism of it is she created a baby from scratch. So she's a superwoman of science who bought all of Ozymandias' work and is better than Ozymandias and is pulling a better plan than Ozymandias. Basically, what the Watchmen is we're going to do a soft reboot, replace all the males with females, and all the women are going to get Ozymandias' plan right this time. And, well, it's going to work because women are doing it. Get what I'm saying? That's super original, right? And around all this is the girl that's the key to everything. So they use the super... When you use an analogy twice in your narrative to make a point, I mean, it's so try hard. It's... I mean, I'm having a little bit of fun ripping this show to absolute shreds. And I keep getting comments, I like The Watchmen. Well, good. I have no problem with you enjoying it. I don't. Because I know most of you out there aren't aware of what's going on, but, you know, maybe you should be. I don't mean to should you, but, you know, wake up a little bit to what's going on. And if you're okay with that, if you agree with the politics, that's fine. If you like it, that's fine. I got no problem with you, but I got a problem with the show. Just don't have a problem with me having a problem with the show. But I get those. I mean, one just popped up. I like The Watchmen. Okay, good. I like the Watchmen movie. That's not a popular opinion. Do you know the story of Bill Mantlo? Yes. Destiny Captain. We will discuss the story of Bill Mantle. I'm going to do a comics only live stream soon. It's about damn time we talk to about comics. But I'm about to jet out of here. But Destiny Captain, don't super chat next time, but remind me, please, to tell the story of Bill Mantlo. No more emojis for you, sir. And Gary, whatever you do, watch your gosh darn language. I will, Captain Spire, for $5. And yes, if you guys are aware, emojis, if you put mass emojis in there, that YouTube will flag that and delete your entire channel and your email. So don't. I mean, I'm sure you're safe with one, but don't put a bunch. Like if you want to put a bunch of claps and stuff, don't do it. And that sucks. That sucks because I like seeing those. I do. But yes, we're gonna wrap that up. I'm sorry this is a short one, but I got 2 videos to make. There will be another live stream Friday for sure at 5 p.m. Pacific time, where our guests will be. These are confirmed guests for this Friday. Of course, we have Odin's movie blog. Do you know he's got a movie blog? We have our good friend Comics Division. And joining us will be Geeky Candy will be returning. Geeky Candy. And for his first appearance on this channel, Yellow Flash. We're going to have Yellow Flash on. So Yellow Flash will be joining us. And then I know Jeremy's traveling, so I don't want to commit him to anything, but he's, he's always got a seat open on Friday Night Tights. But I know he is on the road. I think he's going to be doing a car video with our good friend Doomcock. I'm looking forward to that. That's going to be great. So my next 2 videos are going to be Star Wars and Terminator Dark Fate. I'm sorry, I've got to do another one maybe, but definitely The Mandalorian. The Mandalorian and is coming out. And also Friday morning, I will be covering The Mandalorian, whatever time it drops. I'm guessing it'll probably be midnight Pacific. That's my guess. But we'll see. We'll see. Thank you all for joining. The next Nerdrotic Nooner will be next Monday. And yeah, sorry for skipping it on Monday. I was just too damn tired. But again, wow, we had a lot of people watching. That's pretty crazy. I appreciate you guys joining. I appreciate you supporting me and what I do and what we do. Hail to the Fandom Menace. We haven't taken our eye off the prize. Yes, The Mandalorian is good, but it was just that Ritz cracker. That's all it was. It was just a Ritz cracker. And after you've had the second Ritz cracker, it's not the greatest thing in the world anymore, is it? So there you go. Hail to you. Hail to you guys in the chat. And not all who wander are lost.